I am Albert David Olszewski, O-L-S as in Sam, Z as in zebra, E-W-S-K-I. My title, I'm a doctor in orthopedic surgery, and I am currently a state senator for District 6.
And you are announcing, Albert, that you are running for the Republican nomination for the senatorial seat held by Jon Tester, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so what? First of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the Senate, and what got you into politics in the first place?
Okay, well, thanks, Peter. I'm born and raised in Great Falls, product of the Great Falls public school system, went to Carroll College and graduated from there in '84 and went on to medical school at the University of Washington. Spent a decade in the Air Force as a flight surgeon and a rapid mobility trauma surgeon dealing with orthopedics. I moved back to Montana after finishing my time in the Air Force, and in the last 19 years I've been an orthopedic surgeon at Flathead Orthopedics. It's the largest independent physicians group in northwest Montana. I've got into politics, as I mentioned before. Back in 2012, I got involved in politics, transitioned from being a healthcare policy advocate, trying to promote patient-centered healthcare and to really try to work to avoid excessive regulations that affected the patient-physician relationship. And Peter, what has happened is as these regulations have gotten more overbearing and excessive, what I felt as a private physician was that the relationship, these regulations were getting between me and my patient, and I love my job, but I realized after several years that if I didn't try to do something about reducing these regulations, I would lose that part that I enjoy the most about being a physician, and that's having a close relationship with my patient. So I jumped into politics and ran in 2014 for state representative out of from Lakeside Summers and south of Kalispell, and I was successful there and spent a session in 2015 in the House of Representatives. Really enjoyed it. Had the opportunity to run for election in 2016 for the state Senate, and District 6 is my old House district, and then it includes south of me House District 12, which is Polson. So my district basically wraps around 80% of Flathead Lake.
Okay, so let's talk about what it was. Was there a catalyst, something that made you think, you know what, it's time for me to step up and move up into the senatorial race?
Peter, that's a good question. Again, the same reason that brought me into state politics in trying to deal with regulations. There's two things. Number one is even working in healthcare policy and healthcare appropriations at the state level, our hands are tied in many instances on how we can use our resources to take and set up affordable health care in Montana, and that's because of the overreach of the federal government. And then finally, watching what has happened even most recently with the American Health Care Act, which was brought by Speaker Ryan and never made it to the floor. At that point, I felt that as a physician and a legislator, that maybe I can bring these skills and knowledge and help influence the debate of where healthcare is going for the 21st century.
Now, Albert, is there anything that Senator Jon Tester has been, of course, in office for over a decade now? Is there anything that he has done that made you sit up and say, you know what, I need to step in here because we're going the wrong direction?
That's a good question. Peter, I'm running for this seat because I'm running to do something. I'm not running against someone. I've watched what's going on with healthcare, and I applaud Senator Tester for trying to help with healthcare and the Veterans Administration, and trying to help with with Indian Affairs. But the fact is those systems are doing poorly, and our current private insurance, the private market insurance market is on the verge of collapse. And everything we know about healthcare and what I like to give, which is personal healthcare, is on the verge of extinction. So it's more about the signs of the times and what's going on rather than any one individual.
So, Albert, as you look at the fact, Donald Trump carried Montana by a very wide margin, over 20 points. So, will you be campaigning as a supporter of President Trump or simply as yourself?
I'm going to campaign as myself. I support President Trump. I supported him in the general election, and I've been very happy of his ability to try to get things done. He doesn't talk about it; he's doing it, and that's inspiring. I would like to be able to join that effort, that movement, and get some good things done in Washington, D.C.
Okay. Have you had a chance to visit with Senator Steve Daines and, of course, Ryan Zinke, naturally, the Secretary of the Interior now? Have you had a chance to visit with those folks about your decision?
Ryan Zinke reached out to me today, and we had a short conversation, and he was encouraging. Unable to talk to Senator Daines, he's currently in China, and talking to his staff, he apparently is out of communication for the next day or two.
Okay. So what is the next step for you? Yeah, now that you've announced, you're putting together, I'm sure you've already put together your team. I had a chance to talk with your daughter. She's very excited and very proud of you. So what's the next step? How will you conduct your campaign? And let me ask you this. Will you, depending upon who you're running against, obviously you're probably going to be running against John Tester, will you try to keep it as a positive campaign? Because so often when there's a senatorial race, the closer you get to the end, the nastier it gets.
Right. Well, that's my intention. My intention is to run a positive campaign and take the issues that are currently happening, especially, as I said, not only in healthcare, but I see that overburdening regulation is affecting not only the hospital and the doctor and the nurse and the patient. It's affecting our farmers and ranchers. I see it affecting our coal miners and our sawyers in the timber industry and our banking and finance. So those are the issues that I want to look at. I want to be able to talk positively about how I would vote for or confirm Supreme Court justices. I think that's a big issue, and maybe we can review how those decisions have been made the last 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices. And my goal is to move forward. But right now, in the short term, I've got a very busy job as a state legislator. We're working on the final touches of the budget, which is our constitutional responsibility, is to pass a budget. And once that is done, then I can reflect on putting together an infrastructure or a team that can help to support me to be successful. And yes, then we'll start going around the state and telling my story, telling why I want to do this and why I think that I can be the best representative for U.S. Senate at this time of our country's needs.
Now, chances are that there will be others who will want to step up and throw their hats into the ring. One name that has been thrown around is Attorney General Tim Fox, and he, of course, has not said anything about wanting to run yet, but that could be in the offing. We don't know about that yet. Have you met any other Republicans who have voiced the same concerns as you wanting to run?
Peter, that's a good question. I have a lot of fellow Republicans that voice similar concerns. Nobody that has spoken out that they have an interest. I've talked to a couple of our elected officials. I've not talked to Tim. I know Tim. He's a good man, and boy, I tell you, I think in the primary, the more the merrier. I think that I know that sounds so counterintuitive, but the more people in a primary, the more we can debate and work on the message. And so Tim jumps in. I think it's a win-win situation for Montana.
Sure. So any final words for our audience? Because I'm going to be putting this entire interview up on our website, unedited, so that people can hear your words as you speak them. So anything you'd like to say to the people of Montana as far as it goes on this Tuesday night?
Right. Well, Peter, I guess the thing that really still comes right from my heart is, it's been a privilege to serve my patients throughout the Flathead Valley and really through North and Central Montana. It truly is a privilege, and same as being a state legislator and being elected by my constituents, it's been a great honor and a privilege, and I would like to have the opportunity to perform as Montana's next U.S. Senator, and I would enjoy, and I'd be very humbled to get that privilege, and I guess beyond that, it's been a whirlwind today, and thank you, Peter, for giving me this opportunity to talk.